So is it visible?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So actually, it is the first tutorial session for the topic epoch of reionization, and the early lecture has already set up the background pretty well. So I don't need to discuss much about the background, and it will be a kind of hands-on session, and as well as it will be an interactive session. So the idea is that we are going to solve the global reionization equation, which we have just learned analytically, and we'll check how different parameters affect the reionization process, and how the observationally measurable quantities vary according to the parameters. And once this is done, we can also try to compare our reionization models with the different observational constraints which we have. So to do that, we will basically use online platform called Google Colaboratory, and we have shared a zip file containing these notebooks. So I think you can access this notebook. So I need to check whether you have managed to open it or not. So firstly, I will go through the steps of setting up the notebook. Let me know if there any difficulty comes out. I will try to resolve that. So firstly, you just download that zip file, whichever we have sent to the Slack, and I have just copied it here in the desktop. And if you extract the files from there, let's say I extract here itself at the desktop area. So you will get all the files there. And if you open the folder, there are basically four files. The first two are the relevant things for the tutorial one. So this is the PDF which I was just showing, and you can get the notebook named urtutorial.ipyng and so on. So once this is done, you can just move to your browser and just type Google Colab, or you can just copy the link which I have mentioned in the PDF. And once you do it, it should open like this, and you just click on the first link and it should open up. If you are not signed in your Google account, you may need to sign in, and you will see this kind of page. So you just go to the upload section and select your files, that UR tutorial notebook or something like this. So you just click on the open and it will be uploaded. So I have already uploaded somewhere here. So it should see like this. So let me know if there are any difficulties in opening this notebook. Then I can move forward. You can just tell me or type anything you want, but
Yes, yes, please respond to the.
okay, I think then it should be okay. Everyone has managed to open the notebook. So we have given some tips for those who have not used Jupyter Notebook earlier. So you can read this for your convenience. For the time being, it's not needed. Just you need to follow my steps, and let's move to the install section. So if you just click on the cell, you will get a code section there. And basically in this section, we are importing the necessary Python packages like NumPy, SciPy, and so on. And for our computation, we will extensively use a publicly available package called Cosmolopy to get different cosmological quantities. So if you want to just run this cell, you just click on this play button and it should run. Yep, it's running, and you can see that Cosmolopy has been installed and NumPy and SciPy are already there. So to run a code cell, you just need to click on the play button. And please let me know if there is any issue regarding running or anything where you have stuck. Just let me know.
Hello.
Yeah, sure.
Where is the link in Slack?
Oh, in Slack, I think today itself Rajesh has posted, I think, and we have posted in the general section. This one, yourtutorials.gif.
Okay, okay.
And for the Google Colab, you just need to type Google Colab in your browser, nothing else. Okay, and yeah, just you need to just click on the play button, and these are some quantities which I have defined for my convenience to get necessary plots and so on. Okay, then move to the cosmology section. So again, you just click on the cell. You will see that we have defined different cosmological parameters according to the Planck 2018, and you can change it according to you. But for the time being, it's not needed because we are going to keep it fixed as it is, as Planck 2018 is good enough to do other stuffs and so on. And as I have told that we will use that Cosmolopy package, and you can check later what is it. It basically gives different cosmological quantities which may be useful in some other works too. And you can update the package according to the values which I've put there, the different parameters values. And now to study reionization, we have to define a redshift range for which we are going to study. For redshift 0 to 20 is good enough. It is relevant for reionization at least. So I have defined a redshift array, and you just again click on the button. So make sure that you click on the button one by one. Now let's move to the global reionization question, and this is what we just learned, and it basically gives the change of ionization fraction, rate of change of ionization fraction, and it's equal to mainly two quantities. The first one is coming due to the production rate of ionizing photons. You have learned that this zeta contains basically the information of number of available ionizing photons per unit hydrogen atom, and you have that collapse fraction too, which we just calculated actually. And this term is coming from the recombination, as you know, and for recombination we have to have some amount of ionization fraction, because otherwise recombination will not happen. We have to have some ionized atom. That's why it's proportional to the ionization fraction itself. The clumping factor is coming from the clumpiness of the medium or the inhomogeneity medium, and you can think it as a strength of recombination. So the larger the clumpiness of the medium, the recombination will be much stronger. And this is the recombination coefficient which you also learn, and this is the total hydrogen number density, and a cube is basically that fact that all are in comoving units. And for the convenience, we just change the time derivative to redshift. So you just multiply it with dt dz dt with this, and you will end up with this formula. And similarly, you can change a cube to the corresponding redshift form, which is just a is equal to 1 over 1 plus z. So you put this, you will get this. Now we have to solve this equation. So to do that, we simplify a bit more. So define a quantity p of z, which is equal to this q of z minus the zeta Coulomb fraction. So basically, we are taking this quantity to the left hand side and defining a function p of z. So now the equation will become dp dz, and at the right hand side there will be only this recombination term, and in the recombination term, that QH2 can be written as that P of Z plus zeta multiplied with Coulomb fraction. So this is the QH2 term itself, and the other parameters and quantities there as well. So in the code, we have to define that function somehow. So we have written this code. So we have defined a function dpdz, and it basically depends upon three free parameters: that clumping factor, the CH2, the zeta, and the M min, the minimum mass for a halo for efficient star formation, which we also just learned. And this Cosmo, we have fixed it because we have assumed that the standard cosmological parameters like the density, matter density, and the radiation density, etc., are fixed. So we will not change that parameter. And now in this function, we define this equation basically. So at first we need to define the alpha v, which is the recombination coefficient. And in general, it can be temperature dependent, but for the time being, we will assume that after reionization, universe has been heated up to the order of 10 to the 4 Kelvin. So we take a temperature of 10 to the 4. And this recombination coefficient can also be got from that Cosmolo5 package. So you just need to call that module. And you will also get the hydrogen, co-moving hydrogen number densities from there. And you can define in your suitable units. And the last one is the Coulomb fraction. And this quantity can also be got from Cosmolo5 package. For that, you have to specify the minimum mass, that is the lower limit of that integral, if you remember the earlier class. So you have to specify that. And we want to compute it for the each and every redshift. So it will be a function of redshift 2. And now we just can define the recombination term. We will have the clumping factor, which is free parameter. We have defined alpha v. We have the hydrogen number density, the redshift dependencies, and from the dt dz term, we will, if we convert to the Hubble parameter, it will give a factor of 1 over h of z multiplied with 1 plus z. So this term is there. So you will get the dp dz function, which is basically its recombination term multiplied with the p of z plus zeta f plus. That is the same form which I have written in the equation 2. Now, once we get the dp dz, we have just need to solve for the q. And for that, I have defined another function which I call get qr, and it will also basically have same parameters: the clumping factor, zeta, and m min, and Cosmo will not change. And we have to integrate that dp dz. So to integrate the dp dz, we use a standard routine from the SciPy named scipy.integrate.int, and you put that dp dz array and the z array and the relevant parameters. You will get the integrated value of the value of p of z at each redshift. And you will have the Coulomb fraction array, as I have told that it can be got from the Cosmolo5 package itself. So you just add p array with the zeta multiplied with Coulomb fraction, that is this term basically. So you will get the Q array for each redshift. So we have got the ionization fraction for each redshift. Oh, so make sure you have run those cells. No, it's fine, I think. So now let's plot the reionization history for a typical set of parameters. So by a fixed zeta of the order of 15 or so, clumping factor of 3, and a mean values of 10 to the power 8 solar mass. These in solar mass.
So, hello,
Yeah,
Varun.
yeah.
So, you told about the integration, right, to get P of Z. So, I didn't understand that. So, where is the integration happening in the
Yeah.
equations?
Yeah. So you have to solve this equation basically, dp dz something like this, right?
Yes, yes.
So we have defined the dp dz function, and you have to integrate over redshift to get the p at each redshift,
Mm,
right?
yeah,
So you just multiply dz and integrate both sides, nothing else.
okay. Then it will be a function of redshift. That's
Exactly,
not.
p of z is a function of redshift, and then we have already defined that p of z as ionization fraction minus zeta f plus. So just move the zeta f plus to the left side, you will get the ionization
Q.
fraction at each redshift.
Yeah, but I got confused again. So, we are integrating over redshift, right? So,
Yeah,
which means that it won't be a function of redshift.
yeah, but for each redshift you can get the value. I mean, take the integration upper limit as a variable itself. As
Okay,
you,
fine. Okay, thank you.
yeah, sure. So let's plot it. Let's check what we get. Okay, the Cosmo is not defined. That means we have to run this cell once. Okay, now we got the plot. So here we see what's happening. So we have taken a redshift array from 0 to 20, and you see that in the y-axis we have plotted the ionization fraction. So it's 0 means the universe was more or less neutral, and at high redshift before reionization the universe was basically neutral. Now as we move to the lower and lower redshift, reionization proceeds, and we check that ionization fraction starts to increases, and at some point here something like redshift 6 or so, reionization is end, and then basically the ionization fraction hits a value of 1. So this is how reionization process and proceeds, and I have basically plotted for 3 fixed parameters. Now we need to check how this process goes for different parameters. So I'll basically show one example, and you can try to do the other ones. So the first example is basically the first exercise which I have put in that PDF, that write-up which I have shown earlier. And here we want to plot the reionization histories for 5 different ionizing efficiency parameters. So it's a 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. And we fixed clumping factor as 3, and the minimum mass parameters as 10 to the power 8 solar mass as previous. So to do that, you just need to define a array of zeta values. So I have defined it here. So 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and you just run that get Q array function within that loop to get the reionization histories for different parameters. So just click and see what's happening. And I have also plotted the reionization end basically, that is when that ionization fraction hits a value of 1. So this is the plots. So here we can see what's happening there. So basically, as we increase the zeta value, that is 30, the reionization ends at earlier redshift. If we decrease or we lower the ionizing efficiency value, it's moving towards lower and lower redshift. So at this point, can anyone tell, is it expected, at least from the equation side, or physically, how can you explain this feature? Anyone, you maybe right, maybe wrong, but please let me know if anyone has any idea about that, why the plots shows this kind of nature.
So if ionization efficiency is less, that means that it will take more time to stop reionization, right? Or I mean, it will take more
Yeah,
time to complete the reionization.
yeah. I mean, can you say some physically what's happening or something like that? Yeah, it's true. But I mean, in terms of mathematics, it's true. It's you are correct. Absolutely fine. No doubt.
Which means that so what we are seeing zeta is the rate of ionization, right? So which means that if it is less, the recombinations will be more, such that I don't know if I'm going
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
right direction.
I mean, basically, ionizing efficiency rate means that number of available ionizing photons per unit hydrogen atom. So if
Yes,
it is smaller, then the number of available photons are itself smaller. So who will ionize the medium?
yes,
So
yes.
as it is increasing, then it will make it faster. So that's the thing. Okay, now the second exercise you can, I think, try to do it yourself because it is basically similar. I have shown how to run the loops, and instead of taking an array of zeta, you just take an array of clumping factor 1, 3, 5, 7, and 10, and fix zeta value as 15 and then mean as it was. And you write basically the same. You can just copy it, and instead of a zeta array, you define the array of clumping factor and make sure you have changed the labeling and so on. And let me know what you get. Is it same? Is it different? I think I will wait for some times, and if there is any question, please feel free to ask.
So I have a question that why we are taking the
Sure, go ahead.
hello.
Yeah. Hello. So I didn't heard the question actually. So
Can you repeat your question, or if you can write it in the chat box? you
yeah.
can. So the question is why we are taking the clumping factor between 1 to 10.
Yeah, that comes from the some literature. There are many debates on that, but in general, people agrees to have a value of around 1 to 5 or so. Previously, it was believed that it is of the order of 30, 40, but there are some discrepancies with that. So it's just you can take large values if you want, but you need to make sure that your model has to satisfy some of the observational constants, which I will show in this later tasks. So there is no
And,
specific reason basically.
And they have done the numerical analysis also. Means you
Exactly.
can numerically calculate the clumping
Exactly.
factor using the
From
inverse
simulations,
simulation.
exactly.
Yeah. So you can do it yourself and see what is the value you are getting.
Yeah. Please let me know if anyone has done this exercise, then I can move to the second one.
I think you can move on because
Okay, okay.
some of them may face.
So I think
difficulties.
okay, I will show the results later. And so the exercise 3 is also basically similar. So once you do the second ones, you can just do the third one easily, because I have just told you to change the value of minimum mass parameter and take it as two values, 10 to the power 8 and 10 to the power 9 solar mass, and fix the other parameters, zeta is equal to 15 and clumping factor is equal to 3. So basically, there will be in the same loop you have to define array for m min, and you will check. You can check what you will get from there. So I'll discuss this once any one of you have done that. But let's move. So now we move to the observationally measurable quantities. So the first one is this CMB scattering optical depth. So the earlier lectures we also learned about this. So basically, CMB photons can move freely if the reionization has not happened. But as reionization has happened, we know that electrons will be produced, and these electrons will interact with the photons, and we will see some signature on the CMB observations too. And we can also define an effective optical depth for that. So this is defined as this quantity. So it is basically the line of sight integral on the electron number density, and electron number density is basically the average number of hydrogen density multiplied with the what fraction of it is ionized. And these are the standard parameters, standard redshift dependencies and so on. And sigma t is basically the Thomson scattering cross section, and c is as usual the speed of light. So we need to compute this integral, and we can also compute as a function of redshift z. So we define this function, this tau func, and it is also a function of that same three parameters, clumping factor, zeta, and m min. And for this, you just need to have the array of ionization fraction at each redshift. So we need at first we need to call that gate qi array function, which will give the ionization fraction at each redshift, and you just again use the Cosmolov package, and this will provide you an integrated optical depth if you give the ionization fraction array. And so now check the tau values for a typical model. Let's say clumping factor of 1, zeta of 40, and m min of 10 to the power 9 solar mass. And along with that, I have plotted the Planck limits which we have now. So let's see what this model gives us. Again, I need to define the function. Yeah. So this basically gives this. So the integrated value of the CMB scattering optical depth comes out to be 0.054, and it is reasonably in reasonably well agreement with the observation constant. So this blue shaded region is basically the constants from the Planck 2018, and we can check that our model matches well with it. So what the plot says is that before reionization there is no electrons, so the integral will not increase anymore before reionization. But once reionization has happened, there are electrons. So if we integrate from redshift, so it will increase, and when the reionization ends, it will saturate basically. So this is the model. And similarly for the exercise 4, I have just told you to use the same models which we have just used in exercise 1 and 2 by changing zeta and changing clumping factor, and just check which of the models satisfy this constant, this Planck constant, because this is one of the robust constants which we have at present. And also check which of the models end by redshift 5.3, which also comes from the Lyman alpha observation also. So you can try that exercise too, and I think I should again wait for a few minutes. And please let me know if anyone of you have done this exercise 2 or 3, anyone, then I can discuss what you should get.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah,
I have done exercise 2. And,
yeah, sure. Please. Can you
Zeta in.
share your screen, please? I mean,
No, actually, I am playing this Zoom in my phone, and I'm
okay,
doing
fine.
it
No,
in
no
my
problem.
laptop.
No problem. Okay. Okay, tell me what are you getting?
The zeta in 1, 3, and 5 region are coming to be as coming as 20. 3 of the same.
Sorry, zeta in
1, 3, and 5th region end is coming as 20.
m
And
as coming
3
as
values are coming as 3 of the values are coming same 20.
20. Which value is this 20? 20 is redshift or anything?
Zeta.
Zeta is 15. I have told you to fix the zeta. You have to check for 5 different clumping factors. I mean, you just define an array for a clumping factors, like which I have defined like a zeta. You just need to replace this array with a clumping factor and fix zeta value. So let me show what you should get, then probably you will have an idea. So this is the solution for the exercise 2. So here it is. So I have fixed that zeta value to 15, m min as it is 10 to the power 8 solar mass, and clumping factor I have taken an array for 1, 3, 5, 7, and 10. And I run that loop and change the clumping factor within that loop. And let's see what is gives. Okay, so these are the reionization n, it's 20. And now you get basically it's opposite, and you can even guess it from the equation which I was showing that now if clumping factor increases, it is basically opposing the reionization process. So that means reionization will happen late if clumping factor has a large value. So you can see that for the one it is ending around when 6.7 or so. If it's 3, it moves towards 5.9. If it's 5, it's moved towards 5.5 and so on. So basically clumping factor is opposing the reionization process. It is slowing down the process. So if clumping factor is large, you will have more time to ionize the medium basically. So that should one get. If there is any question, please let me know also. So anyone about the exercise 3? It is basically same for same kind of. You have just need to define an array for m min parameter actually and fix the other 2 parameters. So once you have done any one of this loop kind of codes, you should be able to just play with this and check what you are getting.
Hello.
Yeah,
So I tried for exercise 3.
yeah, sure.
It is changing the m min.
Yeah,
So can I share my screen?
yeah, you can share your screen. Okay, I need to stop sharing.
So yeah, I may need to change the just 1 second. I'm supposed to. So this is what I got.
Yeah, that's fine. You just need to change the level.
Yeah, I
actually.
changed the legends and all I have to
Yeah,
change. But
yeah.
yeah. So this is expected,
Yeah,
right?
it's fine. Can you guess from this which one is 10 to the power 8 and 10 to the power 9?
Yeah. So of course the first one is 10 per. So m min means is the minimum mass, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
minimum mass means it will take less time. Sheer guess.
I mean, it's the lower limit of that integral. If you remember that in the Colas fraction calculation, it's the lower limit of the minimum mass, the lower limit of the integral.
Okay. No, I'm not able to get. Can you
Yeah.
please help me?
So the basically the thing is that the green one which you are showing is
Mhm.
the for 10 to the power 8 solar mass,
Okay.
and the yellow one is for 10 to the power 9. Now why is it happening? Because 10 to the power 8 means a lower mass, so the lower limit of that integral is lower, so you will if you change it to the higher mass value of 10 to the power 9 solar mass, you will basically lose that contribution from 10 to the power 8 solar mass halo to 10 to the power 9 solar mass halo. So for those you there will be no star formation or not efficient star formation. So for mass of less than 10 to the power 9 solar mass, if you fix m min as 10 to the power 9, there will be there will no contribution from these halos
Okay.
basically. So effective number of ionizing photon production will again be lower.
That
So
is why
that's
it is again taking more time to finish,
exactly
complete the reionization.
exactly.
Yeah. Clear.
Yeah.
Sure. Let's stop sharing.
Yeah. Let me share again. Okay. Okay. Similarly, it's going good actually. So similarly, you can try the exercise 4 where I have just told you to compute that Planck, sorry, the semi-scattering optical depth for the models which you have taken in exercise 1 and 2, and check which of the models follow this constraint by given by Planck. And it will be also interesting. From there, you will have some ideas that which parameter values we should take as your model, because some of the models should be discarded by these constraints. So check it and let me know if you are done. And I'll just demonstrate the last example, that is example 4. And here I'll tell out the another observation measurement quantity. Probably there was a typo in your shared notebook. This will be photon emissivity, not efficiency. So you can just change it. You may just click on this and edit here if you want. It will be emissivity, not efficiency. So fine, that's good. So this defined as this the number density of hydrogen atom multiplied with that same zeta and the rate of change of collapse fraction. So you need to define a function again for that, and for the collapse fraction it is basically the same as I was telling, but this time there is no contribution from clumping factor because it is solely depending upon the number of ionizing photons. So there is no recombination, nothing at all. And you just define this function and differentiate it, and you will get the ionizing emissivity. So I will plot the ionizing efficiency for a typical model. Let's say min of 10 to the power 9 and zeta of 10 to the power 5. Let's see what it gives. And I have also plotted an observational constants which we have around redshift 6. And you can check the papers if you want, which I have mentioned here, which I used to compute the observational constant. So let's plot this. Yes, this will show like this. So this is the observational constants at z equal to 6, and for a typical values of zeta and m min, you will get this kind of trend. So it increases, then it is flattens down basically. And in this there will be other effects to some feedback or something like this, but in this model there is nothing like that. So it's just a simple model, and that's it basically. And similarly you can try the exercise 5 where I have told you to compute the ionizing efficiency for the different models which are used in exercise 1, that is changing different ionizing efficiency parameters. And you can also check which of the models are satisfying this constant, and you can also check if it increasing zeta, is it increasing or is it decreasing. From the equation you can just guess it what will happen. As zeta increases, it will basically increase, it's basically proportional. So you can just check, and you can try to do the exercise 5. So if anyone has done the exercise for the optical depth calculation, let me know. I can show what you should get from there. And if there are any other questions, please feel free to ask. And probably you can try the Cosmology package. There are a lot of quantities which may of need for your work for other purposes. So I think I should share this solution to you guys, and then you can let me know if there are any problems or anything else. So basically I am done actually. So if there are any questions, then I think I don't have anything else actually. So, and if there are any questions, please feel free to ask.
Hello, I have a question.
Yeah.
So in exercise 4, like what should we do? We should constrain the redshift by 5.3.
Yeah, you have just need to plot those models which I have showing in exercise 1, and check which of the models have a reionization end before redshift 5.3 or so. Before means greater than redshift 5.3. So if a model goes below redshift 5.3, it will be discarded.
Okay.
And other check is that if that models falls in that the shaded region.
Okay. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like really difficult to do now. So after this,
I think I should share. I can show what you will get. I will share the solution. You can. So basically, this is the first exercise for different zeta values, and yes, basically you will get this kind of. You can see that for a relatively lower, for a very much lower zeta values, the model is discarded. Is zeta equal to 10, and if you are take a very higher values, even then it is discarded from this Planck limit for a zeta of 30. And you can also check that 5.3 cut. So I was just telling that no model should exceed this dotted line basically. The NSN end should happen before 5.3. So this blue model is only discarded by this limit. So this thing you should get from the models which we have used in exercise 1. So this is you will get basically if you plot the things.
Yeah, sure, we'll do it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So yes, you can give them some time to do this exercise.
Yeah,
then
yes.
You can,
Probably I
they
can
can
share
see.
it later.
Yes. Because it would be difficult for them to listen.
Yeah.
Okay, so are there any further questions? I don't think there are further questions. Okay, so thank you, Varun.
Yeah. Sure.
And I hope you are in the Slack channel, so you can
Yeah.
answer if there is a question.
Okay.
Yes.
Sure.
Okay. So this ends today's this session. So we'll see you tomorrow.